Hello, welcome to Star Wars Belt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, returning classic guests. Oh, I love a good returning classic guest. I was digging through the archive, trying to figure out when she's been on, and I'm going, oh, has it been pre-Chicago? Well, that can't be right. I've got to have a proper dig. But anyway, Clare Stribling. Oh my gosh, how's it going?
So good. I know when you threw the invite out there, I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't realized how long it's been. I also like that I'm considered classic.
Yeah, like Coke classic.
You know, OG.
Like vintage. Yeah.
OT. I'm the vintage collection,
Yeah. You're in the retro packaging with the big sticker on it that just says retro.
You better believe it.
You were like, wow, it's good to see her back, but do we really need to have that unnecessary sticker on the front? It's like, yeah.
Right, exactly. You know, that's usually how I come, with unnecessary bullshit.
Like, you wonder, it's that funny about that, like, because I've got a couple of those retro figures, and I got the Return of the Jedi, like, I'd gotten the New Hope run, like the original ones, and I got the Empire ones, but when I bought the New Hope ones, whatever, when was that, 6 years ago? I can do the math, but whatever. Mm-hmm. They were like $15 Australian each or something, $14 Australian each. Return of the Jedi, $25 each. So they've almost effectively doubled in price. God. So I've just gone, you know what? I'm just going to get Luke, I'm going to get Biker Scout, and that's it. Like, sorry, Palpatine, Emperor, like, that's all I'm getting. I'm not good. So I do have a slightly incomplete thing, but like, I think the completionist side of me is like, who cares? I've moved past that. Like, I just want the ones I want.
I have too. Like, a long time ago, used to collect a lot of different things, and I completely gave up, and I'm like, Salacious Crumb's it. Yeah. How many times are they going to make new Salacious Crumb things? You're not going to spend that much money. As soon
as I get past this Return the Jedi
sideshow collectible.
Yeah, as soon as I get past this 40th anniversary Return the Jedi, I'm in the clear. You know, like, I'm in the clear at least for another 10 years till the 50th comes out. You know, like, how much more stuff did they do? They're like, damn, the movie that he's in's doing an anniversary, so they're going to pump stuff out.
These nerds will buy it.
Yeah, these nerds will buy it. Claire
put a new sticker on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I swear we've done one post Chicago, because I know we did one just before Chicago, because I was purposely and like,
we have intoxicated ones.
Yeah,
at Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously on blog pods at Anaheim, because it's this weird thing where all the memories, like, hey, remember you went to Anaheim a year ago? Like, remember Celebration Anaheim? That's all like come up because it was this weekend. But I had like a celebration in between. So it's this really bizarre thing of like an anniversary of a thing, but then another one's happened in between. Like, I know you didn't go to London, obviously. So it's this kind of weird thing where everyone's going, sadly, oh my God, Anaheim, take me back. Like, memories. I'm like, I'm still burnt out on London. Like, I'm still like, feel like I'm tired off the back of hitting London so hard. But yeah. Was it weird sitting on the sidelines? You were definitely a notable absentee.
Thank you. It was so strange, because since I've started going to these, this is the first one that I've missed.
Yeah.
I've not missed one since I've started. And it's been like, it was so odd. I'm like, I'm watching the live stream. I'm waking up early to watch the live stream, and I'm just following everybody online. I'm like, I need to follow Twitter to keep up with what's going on. It was so odd, but thankfully I felt included. Charlie FaceTimed me about 800 times from the floor. He'd be like, I ran into Catherine Neen, and like would FaceTime me like, oh hi, oh hey, like anybody that we ran into that was, you know, I felt like there was a lot of those, especially drunk ones.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Charlie.
This is everybody partying.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Charlie there and Nikki. I didn't see them outside of the hours of that, just because we had our own sort of crew of people directly around us, and then because I used to live in London, it was like, all right, where are we going? So I was like, all right, well, everyone's going to go to the places I know, local knowledge. So we weren't, and like those guys were staying at the XL, we were sort of slightly further away, so we sort of gravitated to where a lot of people were staying and stuff. But yeah, I saw Charlie a few times. It was quite funny. I remember I was walking like the floor, and I was just quickly checking Twitter, and then he'd put something going like, hi, you know, if anybody wants to say hello, I'll be standing near the TIE fighter, you know, for the next half an hour or whatever. And I'm like, It's literally just over there. So I just went over and was like, "Hi, Charlie. Nice to meet you." You know? It's like, oh, I just didn't think anybody would turn up. I'm like, well, I didn't come here special. I was just funny because I like just saw him standing over there. It was just that weird. Like, I'll go over and say
perfect
hi to Charlie.
timing.
But I had seen him a few times before that. But it was nice seeing those guys. But it was weird having you not there. But I mean, Japan. You know, do you look at that and just go, like, when they did that announcement, were you watching the announcement live? Like going, come on, Chicago. As like an Olympics sort of announcement? Like, where they're going to do it next?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it and I was, so my time, it was like roughly 7 a.m. when that stream started. So I'm like in my pajamas and my cup of coffee working from home, and I'm like, oh, Tokyo, another celebration I probably won't be able to go to after paying for a wedding a couple months before that. Damn. It's like, no. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay. I was standing by. I was ready.
Well, we were the opposite, just because it was, you know, like I think I might have been by myself. Like it was, you know, like the very last gasp of celebration, you end up just sort of wandering the floor aimlessly going like, have I not seen everything here a million times? Like, I'm sure I've seen everybody. And we'd already gone, well, we're going to meet up with everybody, you know, in the last half an hour and get some photos and stuff done. So I know that, you know, I don't have to worry about doing that. So I was kind of just wandering past the live stage going, all right, well, this looks like that they're about to sort of announce, and, you know, I'll get a little spot and I'll just watch. And, you know, when they said Japan, like for Australians, like, same time zone.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's the closest we'll ever get to one in Australia. So I was just like, yeah, woo, you know, and all these people like Europeans and Americans just were like, why are you so happy? This helps none of us.
You're like, for once, I've traveled all across the world on the opposite side of the planet. You have to come to me almost this
people
time.
Are like, I can't believe we've got to do 2 international celebrations in a row. I'm like, try doing 4 or 5.
I'm like, 2. That would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just
but
2.
I mean, we're pretty. Yeah, the plan is to go. We talked Kat and my. Actually, the funny thing is, like, we've both gotten engaged since we've last spoken too, which is quite funny.
I know. Congratulations! And you like the week of celebration.
Yeah, like the week after. No. Like all the Star Wars stuff had to be done because it was like all the Star Wars crap had to be put to the side. And I mean, like, we've been together. I don't know if people know this. We've been together like 10 years. We've got 2 kids. It wasn't like, you know, it was just that we had finally had a trip away and the timing and everything worked. But, you know, there was a lot of message of like once, because nobody knew what was happening, and going like, oh, did you do it in a Darth Vader costume? All that kind of stuff. It was like, no, Star Wars had been done. Like all of the, you know, caveats and compromises that she made to indulge Star Wars Celebration, made sure that was all done. And
exactly.
But we had talked about taking our daughters to Japan on a trip. Anyway, we went to Japan about 10 years ago. When I moved back to Australia from England, I met Kat in Japan. I bought her a flight to Japan as a birthday present and sort of said, I'm coming back, bonus, surprise, and also because we were living in different cities at the time, and I'm moving back to Australia and I'll meet you in Tokyo for a week and then we'll go back to Australia. So we've always talked about going back and taking the girls. So I'm just like, wow, well, it's good. Star Wars Celebration is going to be on. So it kind of feels like a perfect, you know, the kids will be big enough to probably do a day maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
So the plan is to do it. I don't know whether Kat will go, or maybe my youngest might not, but my oldest Olive will be nearly 10 by then. So I think she'll be able to handle a day, I reckon.
Yes.
Which will be exciting.
And you think she'd enjoy that? You think she'd be all in? She's going to dress up? You're going to get her in a Princess Leia costume? What are you going to do?
She's done smaller things here. So we have like Oz Comic Con here and Supernova, which are just small-ish cons. They're not celebration, but they do Oz Comic Con.
It's warm-ups.
Yeah, they do. You know, there's still like, you know, thousands and thousands of people, and it's a similar vibe. And there's people dressed up, and she's gone to a couple of those, and she did a Rey costume. The last one, I think. And, you know, she was happy to meet. I think it was kind of funny because she saw people, there were different dress-up people, and she didn't really want to interact with too many of them. But then there was a really good Princess Leia, and she was like, I want a photo with Princess Leia. I'm going over. So I think she'll be up for it. So I'm tempted to just...
Yes.
I'm tempted just to get her the kids 3-day, because they're not super expensive, and just go, we'll take you day one, and if you want to go again, like it will go the next day.
Options
and if you don't want to go, you can hang out with mum and your sister. But we'll have to see, because at the same time, it's like it's all exciting to walk the floor and interact. But I think if I'm going, do you want to go to the Kenner Droids panel, toy panels? Like, no, man. Like, I want to look at the cosplayers. So there's also that. So I know that they've got, like, they had a really good Star Wars Kids Zone there as well in London. But at the same time, like, I've got to be there. Like, I can't just leave her. It's not babysitting. Right. I can't be like,
right. You just take care of her. I'll probably find her later. It's 5 hours. A foreign country.
Yeah. So I've got to be there the whole time as well too. So obviously there's things that I want to do. So we'll work it out. We'll work it out. But it's exciting to do that. Like, I know it's hard. Like, there's the usual sort of like, oh God, Japan's so far. And I've had a few people get in touch who know that I've been there, kind of going, what's it like? Is it just too much? And I'm like, no, like, everything is signposted in Japanese and English at crucial things like train stations and getting around. Everyone's super nice. It's like the safest place ever. I love all the food and stuff anyway, so I don't have a problem with the food. It's easy to get around. So but I can understand why people just go, this is intimidating as a place to go.
Yeah. Especially as Americans, I feel like as Americans, we tend to not take advantage of opportunities to go abroad. We're like I feel like they're like, in general, it's intimidating for Americans to go abroad. And also there is the completely 1000% earned reputation of asshole Americans abroad. Because we tend to not respect or understand the cultures we expect everybody else to adapt to us. And that's, not really how it works. If you come into my home and expect it to change all of my house rules, it's not really gonna fly. So anyway, Americans, if you go to Japan, don't be dicks.
Yeah. And the thing is also is that everybody's so polite and accommodating that they'll indulge it, but it doesn't mean that they're not thinking. You know what I mean? Like, they'll be happy to they'll be polite, but they'll just be like, God damn.
Thank God when they leave, Oh.
But it's funny because it's this, because they've done so many they did Anaheim and then obviously Chicago, and we had that gap where, COVID hit and it all got kind of mucked up, and then they did London, and then so there's always been a couple of American ones in a row. So the attitude rightfully has always been, well, we'll get the next one. It'll be all right. Like, now it's going to be like a proper 3-year gap where it's like, well, if you want to go to this thing, you are going to have to sort of stump up, or you're going to have to just wait till 2026 at the earliest if they do 2026. Yeah.
We were due to not have things go our way for a bit. The United States has been very spoiled on the celebration front. And a little disappointing. However, it can
be done though. The thing is, it's like with a little bit of, I know it's like, people can't afford, I get all of that. Like, and I understand that some people just, it's like, can't be done. Like, I literally cannot do it. But it's not as expensive as you think.
No, I will say though that we were comparing like flight prices, like Charlie and I were, and for some weird reason, like, traveling to the same location within the UK to the United States and the United States to UK, it is way more expensive for Americans to buy flights outside of the international flights than it is for other places. And I don't know why our tickets are so dang expensive.
Interesting.
They're literally just like, please don't leave the country. Please stay there.
Just stay where
because
you are.
We can't handle you. Yeah. They don't want you. They don't want you to go to Japan.
It might
and you know what?
Yeah,
whatever.
Where you come from. I mean, the country's so big.
Also, to Chicago,
Yeah, you got to cover. But the thing is, like, Australia, we have a lot of tourism with Japan as well. So we've actually got like your slightly budget airlines that fly to Japan as well now too.
Nice.
Like, which they've never done, but even like you wouldn't know the brand, but Jetstar. So it's kind of like I guess like a Delta, maybe.
Okay.
Or a I don't know, but it's less frills, so you can get there reasonably cheaper if you wanted to. But look, we'll that's where we're aiming towards. But again, we've got to renovate a house, get married, do a lot of stuff in between. So who knows what could
There's some expensive things coming up.
Yeah, there's some expensive things coming up. But I mean, we had Europe was so awesome, and it was great for us just because I'd live there, get to see people, and we did other stuff as well. So 2 weeks, no kids.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Woo.
Sweet freedom.
Sweet freedom. sweet freedom. So how you feeling this little, like, we had so much, someone was telling me the other day, they're going like, just before May the 4th, they're like, this is the first week that there's been no Star Wars stuff this year. Like there was like literally like after Bad Batch and Mando, and like we're in this like little sort of, are we too spoilt, Claire? Do we need some air? Do we need some space, some breathe to go without for a little bit?
I think like, because that is the truth. We have been so spoiled that like it feels really empty. It feels so empty right now. And like every week on Imperial Senate, we're like, what are we going to talk about this week? We're like, oh, well.
Let's talk about Willow. Okay, let's just pop Willow on. Oh,
yeah.
Where's Willow going?
Never mind.
That is mad. Isn't that crazy?
It's completely insane.
I'm really surprised that there hasn't, I mean, maybe they've been told to hold their tongues, but like, heard nothing from like Warwick Davis or any, like it seems like, I know you don't bite the hand that feeds a little bit, but to pull a show completely off a streaming service that was out, when was it out? Like October last year?
Yeah, last fall, yeah. It just came out. I don't understand, and I get it, like, you're not renewing it for another season, whatever. I don't know if it's because of the WGA striking that they don't want to have to pay, like, residuals on it, but let's be honest, if you didn't have enough viewership to watch it in the first place, then how bad are your residuals going to be once you have to pay them out? I don't know. I guess it's maybe something that they felt they could get away with, but no, we are nerds who are fascinated with the pop culture of the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, okay?
But it's also like a Lucasfilm product, and like they paid $1 bajillion for Lucasfilm, and they want to keep making Star Wars stuff. So I know that there's like, the relationship that, Lucasfilm is somewhat independently run, as in Kathy Kennedy runs it, but it still gets its money from Disney, and obviously there is oversight and blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. But there must have been a discussion somewhere where Bobby Iger's like, hey, Kathy, we're going to pull Willow from the thing. Like it hasn't, it's done okay. It hasn't done great. We know you want to make more, but not only are we not going to make more, we're going to pull it off the streaming platform so nobody can watch it. Like, how does that discussion go?
I have no idea. After spending all of the time and money and all of the hard work of all of the people in front of and behind the camera, I just don't understand, after putting that much energy and money into something, to not just like, hey, maybe a couple people will keep watch it, and all of a sudden in a couple years maybe there'll be a weird Willow renaissance,
resurgence.
People rediscovering a show. There we go. Resurgence. Completely scrapping it makes no sense to me. Don't you want to have more content?
But it almost feels like it's almost kind of gone the same way as the original Willow, which was, somewhat popular at the time, but not exactly, wasn't Star Wars. But then Labyrinth was kind of the same as that. Dark Crystal was definitely the same as that. So there's actually quite a few
It's literally
precedents.
Everything I love.
But it's literally all those almost like, not second tier, but the things that are below sort of Star Wars. And I know Dark Crystal is not Star Wars, but it always feels like it's akin because it's a Henson thing, which is very much similar spirit, similar thing, and closely associated. So I guess that Dark Crystal Netflix thing is probably similar to the same, where they kind of like resurrected this thing, done with all the love, and then kind of had a viewership and kind of faded away. Does that open the door where they'll just go, you know what, no one's really watching this Book of Boba Fett show. Maybe we just
They better not
take it off the.
That's just crazy to me. It doesn't make any sense. I don't see any logic in it. I really don't. Like,
is Warwick Davis making that much money on residuals? Like, is it some weird?
Right.
I don't understand the logic unless they're just like, we want to take it off and we want to sell it to another streamer, so they can, as part of the deal for them to make. Well, I mean, they might have literally gone to whoever, John Kasdan or whoever's the showrunner, and gone like, okay, John, look, we're not going to make any more. I know we kind of said, like, it kind of leaked a little while ago where it looked like that we weren't renewing it. And he was like, oh, no, like, they're just going to work some things out and it's still alive. It's not dead yet. And they just said, look, you can take it and sell it to another streamer, but we have to pull it off Disney Plus. And we have to basically package it in with, so say it was like, I don't know, Amazon was like, we'll take it, but we want the first part. There's no point showing the second part without the first part. So we'll make the second series. Right. That I could kind of get the logic around. I'm like, all right. But then all of a sudden you've got Lucasfilm stuff, which is owned by another company on a different platform. I mean, does it really matter? I guess not. Who cares? But it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's the weirdness.
It is.
And you can't buy it. It's not like you can go down to Target and just buy the Steelbook and be like, well, at least I've got a copy at home that I can just watch whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, oh, let me just buy my digital copies. That's not how it works.
Oh, yeah, even that, or on DVD, it's just like gone.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Like we'll go to Celebration, or they'll be at some premiere, and someone will go, Kathy Kenny, like, hey Kath, like, what's going on with Willow? And she's like, there hasn't been a Willow, or there never was, and they like close.
Getting gaslighting us on
she's just
Willow.
deniability. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Opening night, Star Wars Celebration, Anaheim. We had this big thing about everything that was coming up. No, you don't remember any of that? Okay. All right.
But that would be weird. Like, and then all of a sudden you go back to the videos and that's just like deleted from the stream, like the recaps and stuff. It's all just gone. Like, there's just no mention of it. It's just scrubbed off the internet.
It's kind of like you think about something, like everybody has those things for like from their childhood where you're like, oh no, this is a movie that existed and I actually watch. And then you go down the rabbit hole of the internet. I'm like, I don't think that was a thing that happened. I can't find it anywhere. All of the things I vividly remember. No, that's how we're all going to feel about Willow in a couple years.
But that's what the Star Wars Holiday Special was to me, because the Star Wars Holiday Special got screened.
Yes, it's a fever dream.
But it got screened in Australia on like a Saturday afternoon, like in the mid '80s. Just randomly. And I remember seeing it. And I was a Star Wars kid and going, like, what is this? Like, why is it? I don't even know if they showed the whole thing, but like I distinctly remember like the cartoon and like the look of the animation, like the one with Boba Fett in it. And that stuck with me for so long. Until and then like the internet comes around and you find out, that the Star Wars Holiday Special was a thing and blah, blah, blah. And you see the stills and you're like, oh my God, like they must have shown it. But why was it on in Australia? Did it happen? And it was only sort of through, fans, probably this community and people that we've met through this and going, yeah, like they showed it in Australia on a whim. And that was why it stuck. And that was why it was a thing.
Somebody knew it was coming. Somebody saw in the TV guide.
Yeah, I must have seen that it was Star Wars.
And they.
I probably literally was like, "Oh, they're just showing Star Wars. Great!" Like this is the '80s. Right. Like I don't have a. We probably didn't have we not even had a VCR then. Like it'd been like '84 or something. I was 5 or 6. It was probably just like, oh, here's a chance to see Star Wars. For some reason, it's on in the afternoon on a Saturday, like dead time on Australian television. We've got like 3 channels.
It's perfect.
Yeah. And I know
what I'm doing today.
And I know for
getting
a fact,
my whole perception of Star Wars ruined.
No, but I know for a fact there is no way that I would have been allowed to watch all of, because I think it's like an hour and a half long. So which is probably with ads 2 hours.
It's very long.
So there was no way that on a Saturday afternoon I would have been allowed to sit and watch TV all afternoon. My mum would have been like, nah, go outside and play or do something. Like, we're not doing an hour and a half of watching TV in the afternoon. I would have been like,
have you rewatched that?
Have you
rewatched that recently?
I watched it. I watched about the first half of it with my brother probably for the podcast, actually. I think I was down visiting my brother and one of his mates who'd been on a few times, and we were like, it might have been just before Mandalorian came out. I said, let's watch the holiday special and then we'll talk about it. And I think we got about 40 minutes in and I'm like, well, I think we should just talk about this because I'm not going to make it halfway through. And I just don't think we ever followed up.
That's exactly it, because, it's an hour and a half long, but it feels like you're sitting there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You're just like, it is like unbelievable. Time stops. It slows. I don't understand. And you just want it to end. It's just like awful. At one point, it starts being funny and then you stop laughing about 30 minutes in. And then the next hour is just pain. It's just like, endurance. Oh my, it's not even comically bad anymore. It's just painful for me to sit here and get through.
The fact that it's Star Wars related becomes irrelevant, and it just becomes something
amazing.
bad to watch. Like, it just becomes bad. Like, and my tolerance level for, like, if I'm thinking about watching a movie or something, almost my very first thing I do now is check how long it goes for. And then I'm like, nah, 2 hours 10, no. I can't do 2 hours 10. Like, find me something that's 90
Absolutely
minutes.
not.
Like, all right, give me, like, what was I watching the other night? Nicolas Cage's Dracula, Renfield, or whatever it was. And I looked it up.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, and I was like, 93 minutes. I'm like, boom, that is exactly what I want. Like, give me that. And yeah. Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was quite good. Like, yeah, it was fine. That's the perfect level of... But then the thing was, the other night, like, the Succession finale was on, and I'm just like, oh, it's only an hour and a half long. All right, I suppose that should be enough. In that case, I was like, just give me more. And that's the thing about, like, Mandalorian as well. Like, we have... Because Mandalorian drops here at, like, 5 p.m., and we've got, like, a little chat group with all the Australians in it.
That's a beautiful time for that to drop.
Oh, it's so good.
Beautiful.
It's so good. We get screwed on so many other things, but we get that. And inadvertently, probably someone great. Like Matt Mole will be, he's the first. He was like 43 minutes. Like, he'll drop the time. Like, he won't drop the title. He'll be like 43 minutes. And you're always like, oh, God, like 43 minutes? Like, that's it? Like, what are they doing? But if they dropped it back...
Meanwhile, it drops at 2 a.m. my time. And I'm like,
oh, good. Nope. I can be in bed by 3. Which takes us around to...
I used to stay up and watch it. No. Reaction videos, come on. Not happening.
Oh, I don't even know what I would do. Like, I think I would just wake early and watch it in the morning. Like, I think I would just get up at...
That's exactly it.
6:30 or whatever and just watch it in bed on my iPad or something. Well, it's just funny because just before we started, you were talking about the Ted Lasso finale, which is on tonight. Because I was going like, oh, thanks for doing this. It's 9 p.m. at whatever your time. You're like, oh, well, the Ted Lasso finale. I'm going, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm getting into your Ted Lasso time. And like, actually...
I wish you were. I wish you were getting into my Ted Lasso time instead of having it drop 3 hours later.
So what's that all about?
I can't stay up till 12:15. It's an hour and 15 minutes long, this finale, which is good. I'm glad that they're doing a longer finale, but like...
I hope they win the league. I hope they win the league. Like, well, I haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet. We're just speculating. It's quite amazing. I don't know if you know anything about football. I'm a big football fan. It's quite funny because, you would think that in this situation, like, this is just TV, Ted Lasso bullcrap that Richmond FC could win the league. They got relegated a season ago. Like, what is this? Like, it's just ridiculous that a team could. But The crazy thing is that Leicester City, which is a real team, were 5,000 to 1 to win the league because they were a bottom team about 5 years ago, and they won the league from nowhere. They were a bottom team, crazy. And it was the same year that the Cubs won the World Series.
You could do it, Ted.
It was the same year that the Western Bulldogs won the grand final. The team that hadn't won in 60 years. It was that crazy year where all
Pigs
these
were flying, hell hath frozen over.
It's completely in the realm of, well, it's not in the realm of reality, but it happened. So Richmond FC could quite conceivably win the league, which I think they should. Like, why not let them win? I'll feel better if they win.
Let Ted retire on a high note.
Yeah, then go
he's
out.
Not going to stay with the club. Come on, he needs to go home and be with his boy. That's what he's going to do. He'll get back with Michelle, probably. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. So
yeah, I don't know.
No spoilers. I don't know.
Go out on top. It's very hard to go out on top. You can go out like Joel Selwood. That's a local football reference, but people will get that. You're like, I don't know. I'm gonna nod. Says. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
The funny thing is, actually, related to the Cubs. You remember that T-shirt design that I made, like, specifically for you? That was like the Salacious Crumb one on the.
I literally wear it all the time. I wear it all the time.
Still sells.
Always.
People still buy that shirt. It's one of the only designs that hasn't been pulled off TeePublic. And then every couple of months, like I don't sell a lot of T-shirts, but every now and then, randomly, like two or three people bought this shirt. I'm like, that is so weird that was designed for one person. I only put on TeePublic just so you could get it, just so it was like I didn't have to get it printed here and then posted, and it's just easier to go through a third party. Still sells, and really,
I'm just saying, be friends with me. It pays off. It pays off. So.
I'm going as like, is Claire some sort of Instagram star I don't know about? She's been spied in this T-shirt. Like when Kim Kardashian wears some shirt, and all of a sudden everybody buys them.
Right, that's me. I'm the Kim K of Star Wars podcasting.
You might be, actually.
a couple weird pop culture X's to throw in there, for comic relief, and then I am the influencer. No, I can't even say that with a straight face, but it's really funny though. Like anywhere you go, anywhere in the world, you will find Chicago Cubs hats, and I don't know why. I genuinely couldn't tell you why there is the international appeal. Like
It's a
everywhere you
very
go,
nice.
you'll find Cubs hats.
It's a nice design, and I know it's like
It is
it's quite funny because I don't
classic.
really follow baseball, but I follow design. You know, like I like design and sport, obviously because I tied in with my stuff. So I'm always interested, like when a club rebrands, and always like, oh, what have they done? And it's like, wow, there's a lot of baseball clubs that have just sort of quietly changed their names and changed their logos, and they're like, oh, Cleveland, they're different now, and Atlanta's holding out, and Washington, they finally succumbed, and it's quite funny that they just like, oh yeah, Chicago was nice and inoffensive all along though, so.
Exactly. It's not even like we have the Bears as our football team, and now we have the offspring of the Bears as our longtime shitty baseball team. But, it's all right, Completely inoffensive. Can't even be inoffensive enough to be a truly lethal creature.
Well, there's crazy our Australian Football League, which is 18 teams, and they're like all based around the country. And one of the funny things about it was that it's a national league, but we've never had a team from Tasmania, which is like the little state down the bottom, because it's always been a smallish market and blah, 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 but they've always been a football state. Like that's their sport. Like, because we have some states are more rugby in the north and things, but they always tend to put new teams in those areas because they want to grow the game. They want to try and, take the rugby supporters and make them Aussie rules supporters, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point being that Tasmania has finally been granted a license. Like they've said, yep, you can have a team. So there was this talk about like, oh, what's the team going to be called? Blah, blah, blah. Well, obviously it's going to be the Tasmanian Devils because that's just like, that's the thing, the animal that's associated with the state, blah, blah, blah. And they did all that. And then someone looked it up and went, it turns out that Warner Brothers own the IP for Tasmania.
Yep.
That like, blah, thing.
Exactly, so for Taz.
It became this thing where they're just like the premier of Tasmania who's just got this license they've been trying to get for 50 years is like, well, we bloody own it's our bloody thing, it's our bloody animal. They can't do that from us. So there was this kind of like, going, is there going to be some crazy standoff where like Warner Brothers is like, nah, dog, that we own that.
Versus Tasmania.
Yeah, Tasmania, the state versus Warner Brothers.
Right.
So I think that there's been a compromise. I think they've gone like, I think common sense will prevail because it's like, it's not like they're going to have like the like guy on their shirts or anything. I think it's
right.
Yeah, there's hopefully common sense, but it's just that funny thing where it's like, using national mascots and using weird things to represent your states and all that kind of thing. But yeah.
Oh my God.
Star Wars talk. Yeah. Where'd you land with The Mandalorian at the end? We did a review recap a few weeks ago, and I had Matt and Catherine on, and the general feeling was good, not great. 3 stars. Kind of lost its way a little bit. It's okay to say that. Is that kind of where'd you land? Were you sort of like, I'm just enthralled the whole way, or like, we've hit some bumps here?
I mean, I think that my biggest issue with the most recent season of The Mandalorian is that they set the bar so high for themselves, like unattainably high, especially at the end of season 2 with the Luke Skywalker.
It was the perfect ending, but it was the perfect ending. It was the perfect way to end that show as well, though. That was the problem.
Yeah.
It was the perfect way to end the series, end the show. So then you've gone,
exactly.
Oh crap, what do we do now?
Yeah, that's exactly, like, they have like offered the perfect episodes of that television show. So nothing that they could do in season 3 was going to live up to the expectation and hype that they set for themselves. And I went into it with that mentality. So I'm like, it's not going to be Luke Skywalker showing up on his X-Wing same day. Yeah. Okay, we're not going to get that. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good season. I had fun. The cameos that we got were wonderful. The story, just wasn't as exciting as it was before. The finale had great action. Yeah. I had fun. It kind of felt like, and I'm happy that they got a happy ending. Like, they deserve a little bit of a happy ending because those guys have kind of been through it. So get their little ending. Farm and. Yeah. I mean, I always kind of was like, get back to the action now, guys.
Yeah, like, where do you go? But I don't want to rehash what we said on the recap, obviously. But I kind of felt like, well, obviously they've written themselves in a corner here. What do you do? Where do you go? But I still think there was potential that was left on the table where they could have potentially, not brought them back together. But if they did play up the dangerous side of taking someone out of Jedi training and all that. Play up the mistrust from the Mandalorians of bringing Grogu into the thing. Like, let's get a bit of clashy, tensiony kind of. Let's play with that. How does that relationship work? And even the Mandalore stuff was kind of like, well, if it is inhabitable, like, let's have a rush for Mandalore. Let's have everybody try to get there rather than let's have them all sort of try to get there and have a conflict being that the place is actually habitable. And anyway, I'm rehashing things that I used to do, but yeah, it's perfectly able to get back on its feet. I think I'd be curious to see if I mean, they've obviously said they're going to do more. Ahsoka's coming up next, and then we've got like movies. Like when Kathy comes out and says, "Hey, we got movies coming up." Like, where were you? Like, what was the one that got the biggest jump from you?
The biggest jump, like, literal jumping, had to have been New Jedi Order Rey Skywalker, Master Rey Skywalker. Like, wow. But I'm also sitting here thinking about the dawn of the Jedi and the first Force wielders, and I'm thinking about that movie, and like that keeps me up at night. Yeah. I just sit there and I go, oh my god, like we are it's so open and so exciting, and because like I have so much hype for the acolyte and like all of that, I want to know. I have no idea. I can't wait. It's been keeping me. It really has been. It's been keeping me up at night.
But that's the cool thing.
And like, it's amazing. It's just wild.
But that's like the cool thing that the High Republic's brought in now is that it's got no baggage. And they've just been able to weave it in and just cherry pick and make, like, the new Jedi Order game that just came out, which I just finished last week, Jedi Survivor. I don't think it's a spoiler to say there's some High Republic related stuff in it. But the way that they weave that is just perfectly, because you've just got this beautiful source where you can just take and put stuff in and cherry pick, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, well, Luke Skywalker was over here then and over here, and we're just so enslaved into this timeline. And I think the new Jedi, like the Dawn of the Jedi stuff, is just like blank slate. You can do anything, any consequence can be. Exciting. You've got like so much runway, which is amazing, which I think is the opposite of the Filoni one, because it's going to be so beholden to what's just happened before it, what's literally happening after it. Well, not straight after, but like you've got those movies that are already there. So because you're plopping it in, you've got some runway. There's Clear a lot of time. You've got years and stuff that you can do. So there's stacks to play with. But at the same time, it's like, well, we know who lives, who dies, and who's in those other movies and what happens. So there is some stuff we're beholden to one way or the other.
But I will say, as like the kind of person who's like I'm like with my purse in high school and my freshman year of high school with my Heir to the Empire paperbacks, like in here, I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is me. It's coming.
Come on, boys.
Sorority baby. Come on, boys. Come on, big baby blue. This is my time. It's coming.
Yeah.
So, and I just rewatched Rebels, so it's just going to be, it'll be fun times for me coming up with Ahsoka and with that Filoni verse. But yeah, I'm with you though. It's like we kind of know where we have to be.
But they can scorch the earth. Like, you've got 30 years. Like, they can, and the thing is, like, those EU books scorch the earth every second book. So it was like, you can, apart from killing Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie, you can pretty much do like, all those Mandalorian characters can die. You can kill Ahsoka if you want. But you could do that. So there are enough stakes. Like,
when you said that, it just sounded funny. It was just like, well, they could all die.
Yeah. Imagine sitting in a room for some reason. Like I got invited. They're just like, we want podcaster inputs on scripts on this writer strike. I'm like, I'll cross the floor for this. I'll be a scab. No one will find out. And I'm in a room with Filoni. He's like, thanks for coming in. And the first thing I say is like, well, you can kill Ahsoka if you want. Just in that attitude. He's like, you got to leave right now.
That's exactly it. Nope.
Like, can I at least get something from the Lucasfilm canteen before I leave? He's like, no.
No.
You can go stand in the lobby with the rest of the losers, like I did that, years ago. So that was your one shot. Now everyone knows you're a scab and you got thrown out in 2 seconds. It's exciting that they're going to feel that. You might as well and go big. Like, they're going to do a movie. And it's going to be, everything's going to be in there. You name it. I don't think it'll follow the book that closely, but you might get a Talon card in there, or a Mara Jade, or a...
Be neat.
Why not?
Be neat.
You could have Luke literally hook up with Mara Jade for the movie and have her around and kill her off again. You could do it. We don't know. You could do it.
We don't know. Yeah, all I know is that whatever the new Thrawn novelizations that have come out in the last, I was about to say last couple of years, but I think it was 2017 when Timothy Zahn rebooted the new Thrawn trilogy. 2017.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Don't fact check me, okay? Well, actually, no, don't fact check me.
There's those wacky Timothy Zahn books.
There's so much from that.
But there's those Timothy Zahn books that people don't talk about, which is the ones, because he did the Heir to the Empire ones. He did like Heir to the Empire trilogy. Mm-hmm. But then he did like 2 more books that came out like after they had all that there was all the like Jedi Order ones, and basically he just kind of got the house in order. There's a lot of like, that doesn't count, or that's we've kind of corrected that bit and this bit. And it was like Thrawn was dead, but wasn't there like an actor or somebody who's like, I want Thrawn. There was
fake Thrawn. Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Deep faked Thrawn.
And those were wild. Those 2 books, whatever I can't even remember the names of them, but that was a wild time. That was a wild time to be alive.
Yeah, because there was all this like undoing stuff. Because I think originally like it was implied that Mara, Jade, and Lando were together. And I think they wanted, and I think there was literally like a conversation when I was like, oh well, no, nothing happened, but you know what I mean? Like he had to like literally backpedal so that
let's be honest,
so we can put them
Lando in the room, Lando getting in a room with another person with a heartbeat. Something happened in that room. Okay, don't act like nothing happened between you.
Just accept it, Luke, and like she's with you now. Okay, like whatever, like
Right. Doesn't matter.
I'd have to find. I found a bunch of books. I was at my parents' place earlier in the year and found like a box of stuff. Like, inadvertently when you're back at your parents' place, you dig through and you find old stuff. And I found like a box that had a bunch of I think it had like old Mad magazines and stuff in it. And
oh my god,
which are worth nothing. You keep thinking, oh wow, look at this. This will be worth something. I was like, it's worth barely worth
that and Beanie Babies.
Yeah. But there were a bunch of EU novels, and I've realized, because I never actually owned any of them. They belong to my friend Seamus, who's been on this podcast. And I just text him going, hey, I think these are your books. He's like, yeah, I think I lent them to you in 1999.
Well, you want them back, buddy?
Well, I literally said, do you want them back? And like he's going like, yeah, well, my son's like 10. Like I'm sure he'll like them. So I'm like, great. That's the perfect answer, rather than throw them in the bin or take them down to Goodwill or whatever, take them to the op shop. So
priceless heirlooms
I know.
Is what you've got there.
I haven't really, and I'm kind of like, maybe I should just, I'm like, no, I can't go down the EU rabbit hole and start reading those books this close to the thing. But
it's never ending.
Do you think that'll satisfy?
Never ending pile of weirdness.
Do you think that'll satisfy, like the people who were upset when the EU kind of got retconned? Do you think having
no?
I know that they'll never fully be satisfied, but do you think that would be more satisfying to go? Because I think they're going to literally call the movie Heir to the Empire. Like, they're not going to be able to help themselves,
right?
Or do you think that would incense them even more? Or is it impossible?
I think that it would. I just, at least judging from my best friend Mel, who many spotted at Star Wars Celebration.
Wasn't Mel's birthday recently?
It was.
Because I saw a Facebook post and I was trying to find the photo that I've got at her at Celebration where she had like the hood over her face and he's like, nah. And I was like trying to find that photo.
Melpatine.
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't find it. And I was like, it's obviously off my phone on my laptop somewhere because I've backed up all those photos, but I couldn't find it in time. But...
Oh, that was such a good time. Just get her a couple cocktails and having her do her Emperor Palpatine.
Get Mel to Japan. Come on. Like,
I know. I wish.
Anything's possible. Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Anyway, the GoFundMe link is. I'm just kidding. But yeah. She, her dad is a diehard Legends EU fan, and every single time he sees me, the conversation is, "Man, Disney really screwed up Star Wars. Miss the days of Mara Jade." And I was like, okay.
But if you were like,
every time I'm like, I'm sorry you didn't like it.
But if you were like, do you think he knows that they're making a Star Wars movie where Thrawn is the bad guy, like a movie? Do you think he's aware of that, or do you think he's tapped out? If you were to tell
I
it to
think
his
he's tapped
face,
out.
but if you saw him next time, he's like, "Geez, Claire, they really effed them." You're like, "Dude, well, I've got some news for you."
I've got this in my back pocket. No, that's 100% it. I told Mel to tell him about it, but Mel has not watched any of the animation or read any of the. She doesn't know who Thrawn is.
Right, so she's going to completely misconstrue the thing. She's like, "So they're making some movie with a blue, with somebody's blue, somebody's sad, I think," and he's like, "Well, now we have him angrier."
Like, I was literally just, Mel, you've got to tell him. And she's like, okay. No way she remembered to tell him. So, next time I see him, I'll have to make sure he knows, like, hey, we're getting an heir to the Empire with Ahsoka.
With some caveats. Yeah, heir to the Empire with a big asterisk.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the record's still there, but it's compromised from, it does. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can't please some people regardless. They're too dug in, and that's just the way it is. Actually,
everybody hate watches nowadays too.
I should ask Kat's brother actually. So Kat's brother he's EU. Like you go to his house and he's got the whole like shelf, and
incredible.
He does kind of go, oh, that's a bummer. But he's a very easygoing guy. Like he's quite happy to watch new Star Wars, but he's got the EU is in his heart. I should find out what his reaction is, actually. I can't believe I didn't ask him. I saw him recently. I'll have to ask him next time I see him. That would be a good conversation.
You got to find out.
Yeah, to see whether he...
Because that's the thing, It's still there. We just get more stories. It's like for fans of the comic books, like, this is old news to us, man.
Yeah.
You know how many times people die and get brought back to life?
This isn't... Yeah.
How many Flashpoint, how many timelines we got going? It's... Yeah, well, whatever. I'll take another one.
It's a good analogy, actually, isn't it? Because it's like, they go, oh, we're doing, I don't know, bloody, Captain America Civil War or whatever. And it's like, well, kind of, it's got bits of it, but it's not the same. But the premise is the premise. So, you just use the title. Who cares? Just use it.
Right, exactly. Whatevs.
Yeah. It's not going to
what's the internet going to do?
Get more mad?
Never. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Like
alienate people?
That's what Kathy Kennedy should do.
What
are you going to... Kathy Kennedy should do that. What are you going to do? Fire me? You're going to fire me from my job?
What are you going to do? Make more thumbnails with red eyes?
Oh, no. I'm done. Boo. Yeah, I'm disrespecting the fans.
I drink your tears.
I disrespect you. Oh no, this person you'll never meet. I don't care.
Enough fanboy tears to fill my bubble bath. Let me bathe in your tears, darling.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's.
I really hope the next person who runs Lucasfilm is a woman again. That would it absolutely should be. It would just be like. I
would love it.
Just do it. So when does Ahsoka come out? It's like soon. It's at end of next month.
August.
End of August. Late August.
Mm-hmm. August. I don't know. I don't know if we have a date, like a set date. All I know is August.
Well, watch it.
All I know is that is not soon enough.
Watch it if you can. Imagine if they were just like Ahsoka Disney Plus coming August 26th. Watch it while you can. It may be gone in a month.
Oh my god! Watch it while you can before we pull it.
That's the new. That's that thing
and
with
sell it to Prime.
You can just say that there's like a boardroom somewhere where they're going, all right, in order to get increase more revenue from streaming, we have to find a way to basically, put a show on and make it event television and do this thing where maybe it's on and someone's like, I've got a great idea. Why don't we just have a time where it comes on, and then it's basically not there on anymore. And then we just basically have the feed. So it basically just shows stuff at certain times. So you've got to watch it at certain times. Someone's like, are you talking about television? Are you talking about television? They're like, yeah. Because then we could put the advertisements in and they can't go anywhere.
And they
have
to
sit there and watch it. And they can't fast forward it. Let's just do that.
There's no premium package where you don't get ads.
But it's just on all the time. You just put your television on. It's just on. You have to find the time to do it. Like, I'm sure that conversation has happened somewhere. They're just like, you've literally invented television. That thing that everybody like moved on from.
Like,
It'd be like it's called like Disney Live. It'll be called like Disney Live or Disney Constant. You know,
Disney Channel.
Yeah, Disney Channel. It's called Disney Channel.
That's never been done before. Oh my
Ahsoka,
God.
watch it while you can. That might have to be the episode thing. It's just coming.
Yes,
Ahsoka, watch it while you can with Clare Stribling. It's just like on this,
God.
and you can watch it on a CRT TV and on the Disney coming to the Disney Channel.
Going to the Disney Channel.
And then all of a sudden,
Man.
bootleg videos become a thing again. So all of a sudden, you go to Celebration Japan, and it's like, I've got Ahsoka on taped off TV, like on VHS. It's like the only way you can see it. It becomes like the holiday special again. We're like, was it bad or good?
Yes.
I can't remember. Like, I only saw it once.
Oh my God.
I thought it was like that Willow show,
time.
but I don't think that exists. I think I just imagined the Willow show because there's no
I don't
record
think
of
that
it.
really happened.
And Warwick Davis fell off that
It's not
cliff.
on the internet anywhere.
Well, Warwick Davis drove his little scooter off a cliff in mysterious circumstances and was never seen from again.
No.
He's out there going, it exists. Well, Willow is real. Willow is real. It happened. And all of a sudden, Warwick Davis was found at the bottom of a trench. Drove his Segway off a trench. Was last seen, saying some questionable things about Disney and insisting that some show called Willow existed that there seems to be no record of.
Hashtag Willow truthers are rising up as we speak.
It's a real thing. It happened. It's like, get these people out of here.
Oh my God.
It could happen. Oh my
What is
gosh.
that? It could happen.
It's just weird. Yeah. It's... Who knows? If you told me a year ago that they were just like, I could fully understand that they would. I feel like we're just doubling back, but I could fully understand that they would pull like some goofy cartoon from like 1998 off Disney Plus because it's just like, who's watching it?
Right.
But they're pulling like stuff that.
Or a lot of the ones that had or a lot of those cartoons that had a warning of
they
this
put like
is culturally
the Aristocats. They just put a message in front of the Aristocats going, "Oh, there's some pretty racist stuff with these cats in some of these scenes, but it was a different time. Don't worry about it. You can still watch it."
It's like, here's the thing though, they didn't only do it in the Aristocats. There are multiple Disney movies with Siamese cat references that are very racist.
Oh, look, I'm sure there
very racist Asian stereotypes. I'm like, not only did you do it in the Aristocats, you did the exact same bad racist joke in multiple movies.
Well, it's all that
Disney.
they've just reused those animation cells. They've just. Well, my daughters went and saw Little Mermaid last weekend. So I was sick last weekend. I was actually in bed sick. I was got a really bad cold. So I was in bed sick playing Zelda on my Switch, which was the best of a bad situation. Where I very rarely find time to play video games anyway. So to have a day where I can sit in bed and play Zelda with like no. Not repercussions, but have a perfectly legitimate reason to do it. Like, I did feel like rubbish, but at least I just had to sit there. But anyway, so the kids are running up the walls here. It's winter here. I'm going to go take them to go see Little Mermaid. So they went and saw it. And, again, it was like over 2 hours long. Kat's just like, the original was like 73 minutes.
How do you get kids to sit there?
Yeah, well, my youngest is 4, and she made it through, but she's like,
That's
after a while,
tough.
she's getting antsy. But
yeah, of course, I get antsy after a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
I gotta get up and stretch my legs and get popcorn and
come on, Ariel, like
right.
So I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but I mean it's The Little Mermaid. But she did say, and I said, "Oh, how was it?" She goes, "Oh, it was really good." She said, "The girl who plays Ariel's amazing." She's gone, and they actually like tweaked a few things to make her more involved, and she's not just a bystander when there's confrontation and things like that. Like it's not just like So there's things like so. And that's the thing, because we started talking about the remake, the Disney, because we asked the girls, like, do you prefer, do you like real, it's basically real life. Do you like real life Aladdin, or do you like original Aladdin, or do you like real life Cinderella? And 99% of the time, they're always like cartoon. We prefer the cartoon to the real life one every time, which is fine. But Kat's always just like, well, they actually do pretty well to correct a lot of the damsel stuff in the newer ones. She's like, oh, they actually they take the time. Like, I know it's half an hour longer or an hour longer than the original, but at least, Cinderella and Prince Charming have a moment to get to know each other for 5 minutes before,
have a conversation before we chase her down the stairs.
Yeah, there's some common ground.
And harass her, go door to door, hunting her down. There's nothing weird about that, right?
Yeah. Tell that chick to get down here and get married. That's how it's got to be. So in that case, like we're talking about Disney, and they've made some missteps, of course, but they're a reflection of their time. But at least he's going like now. It's like, well, there's a little bit more effort made into that kind of stuff. But Dawn of the Jedi, Filoni movie, Rey Skywalker. I mean, that's. And the thing that also, I mean, great Rey's coming back, great Daisy Ridley's coming back. Hopefully, they can bring in some of those other characters. I don't think it's specifically like called the Rey Adventures. I think it's just like this is the anchor that we build around, and this is the premise that we build around. And if it turns out we can get John Boyega and Oscar Isaac and everybody else, then awesome, let's do it.
At least John, it makes sense. We implied he's force sensitive. The whole deal is that we're literally, if you got the new generation of Jedi that you're training, Finn's there.
Yeah,
he's there.
But the thing is also is clean timeline, clean time forward. Yeah. Anything can happen. No ties. Like let's break the bonds that shackled us. And this is an awful thing to say, but we don't have to. Legacy characters out of the picture as well too. So we don't need to.
You heard it here first. Josh Chapman wanted all the legacy characters to die.
I sit in the room
trilogy.
again. And I'm like,
get him out of here.
Yeah, I was again.
They're bogging him down.
It's like Ahsoka's like, well, Leia's got to. Luke Skywalker's got to die. Yeah. You can keep.
That's how he was walking into the sequel trilogy.
You can keep Chewie. All right, Chewie can live forever.
Oh yeah.
And there will be some of that.
The rest of you are done.
Yeah, you're done. I don't want to hear it. Don't bring them back.
Well, actually, kind of.
No Force ghosts.
The rest of them kind of are.
Well, that's the thing. The reality is, it's like one day we've already had to say goodbye to some people. Like eventually, we are going to have to. I don't know. Like I saw some wide interview with Mark Hamill that was on YouTube that just came out the other day because I think he's in some movie and he was looking pretty sprightly. But even he's just kind of like, I think I'm done with Luke Skywalker. He's just like, cast someone else. Someone else. That's like Mark Hamill.
He's like, please stop calling me. Yeah, I'm sick of getting yelled at by idiots on the internet.
I got rich
I'm
again.
over your nonsense.
I was in the wilderness.
Right?
I came back. I'm comfortable. What is he? He's probably nearly 70. It's like, let the man rest. You know? And the funny thing is, no one says that to Harrison Ford. No one's like, Harrison's like, I came back for one. Like, what do you want? Like everyone really respects Harrison Ford's done. Like, I know that, and he did come back. He came back for Rise of Skywalker for like 2 minutes anyway, or 30 seconds.
He did. He did more than we needed of him. Okay.
But everyone's still like, come on, Hamill,
his service.
Get out there and do some flips so we can paste a younger version of your face on.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now they did that with Harrison again for Indiana Jones, but I think he's excited about that.
But he loves Indiana Jones. Like he's yeah.
He does.
I'm really looking forward to it.
But Indy can stay.
But it's like I caught a Crystal Skull was on TV the other night. I was just flicking through this thing that they're going to invent called live TV, where there's just random stuff on. And for whatever reason, I was flicking. I think a sporting event had finished, and I'd flicked over, and Crystal Skull was going on. And I was like, this is good. I'm enjoying like the nuke the fridge. I was in. Like I was just like, yeah. It's. But then, I caught a bit of Last Crusade, and that's just not as ridiculous, but it's got pretty ridiculous stuff going on in it. Like I don't know what people think Indiana Jones is. I think you've got to just. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll take more Indiana Jones any day. Like give me that.
But excuse me, at Cannes, they only had a lukewarm 5-minute standing ovation for the end of the film, which means it's going to be a failure.
You know what, Claire?
Lukewarm 5-minute standing ovation. What does that mean?
You want a little insight? A little thing or two I learned living in Europe, in England? The French don't know shit, man. Don't worry about them. They'll listen to the French on anything. Whatever. I'm sure there'll be, it'll whatever. It's impossible. I can't listen to anybody's opinion outside of maybe like 10 people, and they're people I know.
Yeah. And if you if you are genuinely dissecting applause, if you're generally sitting there and being like, they only clapped for 5 minutes straight, and saying that is a sign that they didn't, like, how do you dissect a standing ovation? How do you
But
it was only 5 minutes lukewarm.
It'll be some bullcrap that somebody will get caught on. Inadvertently, there's always a thing like whether it's, you know, the equivalent of the Luke with the green milk or nuking the fridge. It'll be some stupid thing in there. You'll be like, oh, that's a bit weird. That people just cling to and be like, well, this is why it was crap because Indy wore his
ruined
hat.
it.
You know, Indy put his hat on backwards and it was for a laugh. And everyone was like, well, how could you disrespect Indiana Jones? He wouldn't be dumb enough to put his hat on backwards. But it'll be something like that. It'll just be like, and this is why it sucks. And let me tell you a million reasons because there's a woman.
This is why I ruined my
childhood. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a woman. So, God damn it, we all hate her as well. I'm like, God damn, I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So, and I'm sure she'll be bringing the energy because Harrison's nearly 80 years old. So we were like, oh my God, she was so in her face and she was so like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, because Harrison's, you know, 80s. Yeah. You got to keep the energy levels up here, guys. So go back and look at Short Round or bloody anything. Anyway.
Anybody.
I'm looking forward to it.
Anybody.
Just look at anybody. Ahsoka, watch it while you can. Dude, I can't believe we just
get it while it lasts.
I can't believe it's been so long since you had on. I always have the best time when you come on. We'll try to make it more frequent. When I say more frequent, like every 6 months or a year rather than every 2 years or something.
Exactly. I can't believe it's been that long.
I know.
We were definitely due, and it's always fun. It's just too long.
You guys have been back on the thing. There's been some Imperial Senate pods. You guys have sort of been doing stuff. Do you want to just plug what's going on before we say goodbye?
Yeah, so believe it or not, the Imperial Senate podcast has revived itself. I don't know if you guys are making bets against that or not. Somehow, Imperial Senate podcast has returned after our hiatus and going strong, having some good guests on, hanging out. New episodes drop every Wednesday, which is exciting. Usually around noon Central Time for you Americans.
God, that's very specific. I just put them out whenever.
We got a drop time. It'll drop specifically at that time, which is, you know, that's how you know that when we're back and we're in it to win it. Is that I know exactly what time the episode's
you're like, okay,
out.
I can see Charlie like, okay, we've got to get our shit together. All right, so what we're going to do is like we're going to record it. It's going to come out at 12 a.m. and then we'll definitely have to do it, and that's what's going to happen. And then in about 6 weeks' time, you're like, oh, fuck it, let's just put it out, whatever. Like, we'll just get, you know, the standards. It always happens. It happens to me. It happens to everyone. But I'm sure that's had discussion.
Exactly.
Everybody's running off the celebration like, yes, Star Wars is back. Let's talk. That's awesome. That's always
and that's
good
exactly
times.
it. That high is good. And then other than that, we got Broaxium going on every Sunday night shooting the poodoo with my friends, talking about all things pop culture. And I do quick shot previews of each new issue of Dr. Aphra for Broaxium as well. And I'm not going to lie, Dr. Aphra don't miss. So
I've spent a long time at a celebration trying to hunt that new Dr. Aphra figure, that Black Series one. I could not find it, and it really annoyed me because I missed out on the last one because now it's like $400, the original one, and I still want to get a Dr. Aphra figure.
Also, shout out. I don't have one either, but shout out to Broaxium listener Nick Clark, who sent me a package of pins from Star Wars Celebration, which included the Salacious Crumb Return of the Jedi, like limited edition of like 1,000 that they did. He sent me one of those, and he sent me a Dr. Aphra as well. I'm like, yes,
beautiful. Nice
yes,
one. I love when people give you stuff. People gave me stuff at Celebration. I couldn't believe it. We had a fellow. I don't know if you know Andy Bell, who's listening to this now. He was just a listener, and he was like, "Is it okay if we come and hang out?" I'm like, "Dude, just come." And he just like brought presents for people. It was just amazing. It was just like, what a dude. Such a pleasure, mate. Let's do this again sometime soon. And
just my arm.
Let's maybe when Ahsoka comes out, we'll get you on for a review of one of the episodes or something. We'll do something. We'll just get you back sooner rather than later.
While we can watch it, it's out there.
Well, you can.
Before it's too late.
I went to do the recap. It was gone.
It was gone.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thanks for having me, man. Bye.